Don't. No.
Don't what?
There was like
I'm
no-
pulling up my research.
Oh, okay.
Fucking dick.
Oh, did you use OneNote?
No,
Sorry.
I just copied it into an email and emailed it to myself.
Oh, nice.
I'm not going to use technology, really.
I was about to say, he was like, I need to find a way to transfer these notes. And I was like, oh, you have a Windows phone, you can use OneDrive. I do it all the time for notes and stuff. And then he was like, I'll probably just write it on a pad or something.
Yeah.
I like the physical thing in my hand, Paul.
I don't know anything about that. I don't know what it's like to obsessively maintain physical copies of things, even though you have access to non-physical
You
ones.
totally know what that's like.
I really don't. I get rid of my physical copies. So I would get a digital copy and specifically just be like, okay, well.
You need that moved closer to your face hole. That's better.
So I just got done setting up the Wii. You know, you've seen it with Wii Flow, where it has all the emulators and stuff on there.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the greatest thing ever because they have like the covers on there, and they're gorgeous. It's beautiful. And I still like, even though I have access to literally like all the US sets to every console ever made, I'm just like, if I could get a physical copy of it, I'm gonna pay money for it.
Yeah, well, I guess there's something to it because I definitely still have physical copies of like 3 Super Nintendo games. I threw out the rest of them, but like
You just threw them away. You just trashed them.
Yeah. I did. They weren't good games.
Okay.
It makes you feel any better. But
Okay.
I kept like
Fuck
Mega Man
Earthbound,
X.
whatever.
Yeah, no.
Let's burn it.
I kept like Mega Man X, Mario RPG, and Final Fantasy VI, and those are the only things
those
that I
are
have.
those are good games to have. I got
Can I
a
borrow Final Fantasy 6?
If you don't mind that you have to beat it all in one sitting, then sure.
Oh, is the battery dead?
Yeah, it doesn't keep save data.
I can change the battery out. Just saying. I've done
I
it
would
plenty
like
of
to do
times.
that.
Sure.
I've heard it's the best Final Fantasy game.
Yeah.
And if there's anybody who can beat a game in one sitting, it's Michael, who started Jack and Daxter, like what? It was like 3 or 4 days ago he starts Jack and Daxter. And then like Damien came over, he was like, what's your progress? He's like 68%. I was like, you just started like 3 hours ago. Like, what the fuck?
That game has a lot in it too.
I
if you
beat it
want
100%.
He did.
Oh,
It was
man.
insane, man.
In 2 sittings, like 2 3-hour sittings.
Wow. Yeah, Final Fantasy VI is my favorite. So, well, it's 3 on the cartridge though.
I've never played it.
Oh yeah, it is.
9 was my favorite, even though I never played past the 3rd disc.
9 was too much of a fairy tale for me.
9 was
Felt like.
fucking incredible, and then when it got to when they sent you to an alien planet and you find out that your main boss is like an alien guy,
Yeah,
I was just
real
like,
weird.
this is so stupid. I was really digging the medieval theme,
Yeah.
and then you fucking turned it into sci-fi. I'm fucking done. And
That's
I picked the game back up again because I loved it so much, and I was like, I'm gonna try to muscle through it, and I couldn't.
I found that I beat that game, but every time I've tried to go back and replay it, and I'm a person who can replay games, but every time I've tried to go back and replay it, like I can't do it. Every time I get to a cave and I get that soundtrack, and I'm like, oh god, this place, I forgot about this place, I hate this place, and then like that's every place that I go.
Oh, you're a dick.
But I mean, the first time I loved it. I don't know what happened, but.
I don't know. I was that way with Final Fantasy VIII. I played that for like 2 hours, and I was like, this magic system is fucking dumb.
It's the worst.
And
Final
then-
Fantasy VIII has a lot of problems.
Then I just set it
I
down.
could do
and
a whole hour just on Final Fantasy VIII.
I played it for 2 hours, and that's the extent of my Final Fantasy playing.
Yeah, a magic system that actively discourages you from its own use.
Yeah, you have to steal the magic from your enemies before you can use it.
Really?
Yeah, it's the stupidest thing
And
ever.
the same magic that you're using is the magic that you have equipped to like your abilities to make like your strength stronger. So if you can use this fire spell, but it's effectively going to make your strength weaker. Like why?
Well, it's like Full Metal Alchemist. You have to, give something to take it.
No,
not
people
being
die.
close to as cool.
You don't have, you don't have to do. This is America. Everything. This is. You don't have to give something to get something.
I'm just saying, they were all like doing alchemy and they didn't realize they were using people's souls to do it.
Whatever, dude. That
I
show
mean,
was
that's
was incredible, but it was misguided because it's not in America.
Technically, it was. Well, no,
No,
it
it
wasn't.
was in-
It was in Germany.
Yeah,
Yeah. The Holocaust.
that was a weird enunciation.
Speaking of Germany, you can't mention Germany.
I'm just saying, if you could do alchemy like they did, but there had to be a Holocaust somewhere that you weren't aware of.
I'd do it.
Yeah,
Fuck
man.
it. It was a parallel universe. Fuck it. You don't know anything about them.
I agree.
They didn't even know they existed. Hell yeah, I'd do alchemy. I wouldn't try to bring my fucking mom back, but
Yeah,
This
I
just got
wouldn't-
really heavy-handed.
I wouldn't like on the second day of learning alchemy try like the
That's
thing
true.
that everyone says is impossible to do with alchemy.
As a 9-year-old, you're just like, no, you just don't have a child's spirit. That's all that's missing in this equation. No.
the human soul.
Oh, man. So anyway, everybody, welcome to Arcade Whatevers.
Guitarcadia.
And Guitarcadia.
Guitar-
Guitarcadia.
Guitarcade.
Knights of Guitarcadia, my favorite Muse song. Joan of Arcadia. Joan of Guitarcadia. Jesus Christ.
You okay?
No, I'm having a stroke, actually. I'm amazingly composed during this stroke. Anyway, everybody welcome to Guitarcade. I've got a recurring guest, Michael Gibbs.
Woo!
And I'm very happy to have Brad here.
Oh god, don't hype me up.
Brad is literally the greatest thing that will ever happen to anybody ever.
Brad
he knows
Donaldson.
everything about everything, and literally all of his opinions are 100% correct.
And he's not a dick about it.
No, he's not.
Except that thing with Final Fantasy IX. A little dick about that.
Sorry.
Yeah, motherfucking Brad Donaldson. The cockapede.
No,
The myth, the legend,
You're-
the pseudo-Mexican.
you're
Brad
confusing.
Donaldson.
No.
Oh,
He's
those
just
are
Brad.
my nicknames. Sorry.
He's
You've
just
now
Brad.
confused me. He said all those nice things, and you immediately was like, he's got to be talking about me. So.
Yeah, that's got to be it. He's got to be the cool guy with the cool nicknames. So we've got 4 topics of discussion today. Where would we like to start?
How about the top?
Okay.
Man.
The arbitrary top, just because it's the first thing you put on your list.
That was the first thing you put on the list.
I didn't really care which order they went in.
Bands that
I didn't number
maintained
them
their
or anything.
initial sound and energy, and those who didn't.
Okay, so I thought this up one day while I was listening to a Death Cab for Cutie song. And I was like, oh, yeah,
Faggot.
I love Death Cab for Cutie. I don't give a shit. No shame. But I was listening to one of their songs, and I was like,
You forgot the hashtag in front of the notion.
but yeah, I was listening to it, and I was just like, I haven't heard this song before. Because I listened to like Transatlantic, another stroke, Transatlanticism, and you can play these songs with chords, and the one after that, whose name is completely slipping me. Anyway, I listened to their first 3 albums like a lot, and then Spotify happened, so I put their next 3 albums on there, and I heard this song, and I was just like, why have I not heard this song before, despite the fact that I'm very familiar with these 3 albums? And it was a song off their latest album. But it maintained the same kind of energy and like lyrical styling and musical styling that made me go like, holy shit, this band, like if you had told me the song was on the first record, I would have just assumed I looked over it, you know? So I was thinking to myself, like, who are these bands that like can kind of keep their same sound throughout, you know, their careers?
Do you want to start with bands that do that?
I don't give a shit.
Animals as leaders. Bam.
The technical guitar play. I mean,
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. Well, I remember when what's the new album name? I forget. They had their self-titled, and then the one after that, it came out, and
I said Animals as leaders. They have 2 albums. I've only listened to one.
But throughout that album,
like really from point A to point B, it felt like the same album the entire time. It's
to
crazy.
be fair, you can't say that about every album.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But yeah, well, actually, their second album, I listened to it and I was really excited that they released something else. And then I was just like, yeah, I get it. I was like, I get it. Animals as leaders, technical guitar stuff. But there were enough nuances in there, mostly in his tone work. Like he started working on his tone and it just got better and better and better to where I enjoyed listening more to the sound of the guitar rather than the parts he was playing.
His tone in the first album was already as good as it gets.
No,
it doesn't
got
get better. It
Fucking
doesn't.
Woven Web Dude. The way I inflected that. It's a song, Woven Web Dude. No, Woven Web is like, that was the winner of that album for me. Where I was
Oh, no
just
shit.
like,
It was really good.
yeah, really good.
I
But-
say I haven't listened to it. I saw them in concert and heard some of the songs.
Yeah. But
It was really good.
Yeah, animals as leaders, I guess, but that's like saying Jeff Loomis has done it. It's like, oh, be Phrygian dominant over some fucking neoclassical shit, whatever.
Well, that kind of
Sweepy, sweepy, sweepy.
that kind of plays to the argument of whether like keeping your same sound and energy is a good thing.
Well, that's not the topic of discussion, unless we want to make it the topic of discussion.
Now, if you want to talk about a band that has a very long career and they have maintained a very solid sound, Slayer.
Yeah.
30 years, they all sound the same.
Well, that's true.
I think they had one album where they slowed it down a little bit, but
Yeah, I'm not.
it was such. I couldn't tell a difference.
I can't really tell the difference between. It was like when Damien was showing us his album. I was like, "Is this the song you just played again, or is this a different song?"
Now, I showed you something
Whenever-
off of Rain and Blood, and you were actually impressed with the crazy fucking drum fill.
Yeah, I mean,
that
for
he
the
wrote-
time, it was incredible. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm just
like
saying, like, whenever I
25
hear a
years ago.
Slayer song, I'm just like, "Oh, Slayer." You know, like no matter which song, they all sound the same to me.
All their guitar solos are shit.
Yeah, but like the thing was, like, as I was thinking about this, there are bands like I love Modest Mouse so fucking much, and I can't stand. I don't know. I might die. I might literally die if they release one more song. Because every time they just released one last week, and I was like, "This is literally the most disappointed I've ever felt in my entire life." But because they didn't maintain their initial sound, and some bands grow and they become better, and they're different sounding, but they're still good. I don't feel like Modest Mouse did that. But then there's bands that started off having that kind of raw energy to them, and they can maintain that throughout their career, which makes you continue to like them for the same reasons, not for new reasons, and that's kind of what I'm talking about here.
Yeah, I think they're. I haven't actually heard their latest album, but Rush did that real well, where they maintained like a really high energy, really strong songwriting sound. Throughout their career.
I don't know. What was it? Arrows, like Circles and Arrows or something? The
Snakes and Arrows?
Snakes and Arrows. That's what.
Yeah,
it was.
I think
Chutes and Ladders.
that's the latest one. Yeah, I think that's the latest one. I haven't really heard it that
I
much.
didn't. I didn't like it. Well, I'm not the biggest Rush fan in the first place, I should say. But there's like 5 songs of theirs I like. But when I heard Snakes and Chutes and Ladders, I didn't really. I just kind of went, whatever. There was nothing like.
Nothing stand out. Which
nothing stand
you
out.
expect when you listen to Rush.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. But I don't know. Like, but on the topic of animals as leaders, I feel like it's a different animal when you're talking about like solo or what's the word I'm looking for? Non-vocal music. You know what I'm saying? So like you can like have a musical style that you write in without lyrics, and it's not so much about the energy as it is about the sound. Of just like I lend to these progressions, and like Jeff Loomis.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm not doing this with you. I'm not doing this right now.
Mozart really kept his sound.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, you're right.
No, he didn't.
But I guess I'm kind of talking about like bands that have like vocal stuff, like it's bands that are like I feel like with Tosin Abasi, he's really just like, here's some sweet ass guitar riffs, let's write music around it. I'm talking about bands as an integral part where each like 4 or 5 members all play into a single sound.
Be It the Means is my favorite band that does that. That's been consistent throughout their career.
Are they like heavy metal?
No, they're not.
Are they like hard rock?
A little bit.
Oh, man.
It's really southern. Mm-hmm. Really southern. But they're a 3-piece, and just everything.
Like, what's their initial, for you, like when you started listening to them, what was their initial grab factor for you? What about their sound attracted you to them?
It was badass.
That's good. I like it. Yeah.
Man, his vocals are so good. The first time I heard them, I saw them live. Mm-hmm. And they just put on a phenomenal show. I mean, their front man has a fucking big Alabama A tattooed on his neck.
Oh my God.
And a Confederate flag tattooed on the other side of his neck.
And Michael was 14 years old all over again.
And
That's so cool. Let me get a truck.
He's up there singing and screaming, and his screams sound really good. He pulled them off live really well throughout the entire hour-long show. His guitar playing was phenomenal. You slide on almost everything, which was really peculiar for a heavier kind of music.
Now, were you introduced to them seeing them live? Or did you see them live after you knew them?
No, I saw them live the first time I'd ever heard of them.
Yeah, that's a really good way to get introduced to them.
My band at the time opened up for them. Them and a band called Six Shot Revival, which are big around the Southeast. Awesome. Both of those bands are signed onto a label called Southern as Fuck.
And that's what attracted Michael to Be at the Means.
So my band was trying to get signed onto the same label, but Be at the Means was really good. And a three-piece, their guitar player...
to get a good sound out of three people is really hard to do.
Their guitar player sang, their bassist was fucking awesome. Really filled out the sound, and their drummer was tits. He didn't do anything too flashy, but it was enough.
So they just kept that sound going, the rebel, sludgy, bad as fuck.
I think they have 4 albums, and they're all... It's different enough to keep me interested.
Exactly, yeah. There's a fine balance there.
It's like Pantera. Pantera's all Southern sludge, except their first album. That was not Southern sludge, but everything from Vulgar Display of Power on had the same kind of sound and energy to it, and it's incredible.
That is pretty rad.
I love Southern sludge so much.
Well, there was another... I had the same thing happen with Motion City Soundtrack, who's another faggy band that I absolutely love, where I heard a song off their new album, or not new album, but like one of their newer ones, My Dinosaur Life, and I was just like, why haven't I heard this song before on their previous albums? Like, commit this to memory. And then I pulled it up, and I was like, this is off a different album altogether. And they're still, like, they're just coming out with a new album, and I hear it, and I'm just like, this is so good. It's, like, exactly what they were from the very beginning. Like it still hits that same spot at home where it's just like, this is why I liked you in the first place, and you're still doing it exceptionally well.
Yeah.
And it's always super rad.
All of my prep work, it's all just fucking metal bands.
I know. I saw that happen, yeah. Well, we're obviously going to have different tastes in music.
That's all I really listen to.
Yeah. But yeah, like the thing, so in this, I guess this kind of boils down to another topic of discussion, which is like, when you like a band when you're like 16, right? You're in a certain stage of your life that makes you enjoy different kinds of music. And when you stop listening to that band, at least for everybody I know, they assume that band stops making music. Mm-hmm. So then you listen to them later and you're just like, ugh, like, I can't believe this band is still making music. But bands that maintain that like initial... Because I started listening to those two bands when I was around 16. And as I grow older, I'm just like, sweet, this is still speaking to me. Even though my perspective has entirely changed. They've still kept the same kind of what makes me interested in them in the first place. But, you know, they're still appealing to me as a 23-year-old instead of a 16-year-old.
Right. And it's different enough that it still grabs your interest. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in a little bit different situation. When I started high school, my favorite band was AC/DC.
Yeah, and now your favorite band is still AC/DC because they rock.
No, they're not. They do still rock. I still fucking love them.
I don't know how they do it. But yeah.
They've released one album since I was 13.
Yeah.
And I haven't listened to it. So whatever. Then I got into Metallica. Mm-hmm. Metallica, since I graduated high school in 2007, has released one album, which they released in 2008. And I love that. I love everything they've ever done. Still, I listen to them a lot.
Yeah.
And have since I was 15. So for 10 years, I've been listening to them a lot. Never lost the appeal. I never went through that stage where I listened to really popular music and then disliked it later. I mean, I like the radio hits.
You're so weird in that regard. Do you have musical regret?
Yeah, yes and no. Like, I don't know. I love music that I can like jam out to my car and like sing along to and that sort of stuff. And so I kind of gravitate towards more popular music for that reason. Yeah. Because that's why it's popular. And I was, I grew up in that 90s adult alternative kind of era where I would just, jam out to Third Eye Blind or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And I still, when I go back and listen to that music, I will still jam out to it.
Well, that was
from like memories.
I do have one regret. Smash Mouth.
That's fair. That's a totally
Their
valid.
first album was pretty good. The second one came out and it was not very good at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I liked Seal a lot when I was younger too, and I still do.
I still like Seal. I was gonna say.
He's really good.
Well, I got like my first two albums or my first two CDs I got when I was younger was Jimmy Eat World and POD.
Jimmy Eat World is the weirdest band.
I still love them. Like,
Here's the weird thing about Jimmy Eat World. Like most bands, it goes one of two ways. Either their first album is amazing because it's like all of basically their backlog of music into one album, and it's like holy crap. and they kind of decline, or their first album is okay and then they get better and better and better. Jimmy Eat World's like third album was Bleed American.
Yeah.
And it's incredible.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
whole album end to end is amazing. And the rest of their albums are like,
Yeah,
it's so weird.
And I guess that is weird because you're right. Like in the middle of their career, they
Yeah.
released this incredible thing, and then they started falling off. And then, well, I guess you could say the same thing about Modest Mouse because a lot of people don't like their earlier stuff, and a lot of people don't like their later stuff. They just like that Good News era.
Yeah,
Of
yeah.
just like because Good News is a great album by all means, and I know a lot of people that just only like Good News. But I don't know. I have so many musical regrets. Like I have so much music shame.
I don't have even a little bit.
Yeah, well,
except
Yeah,
for
I
the
don't
second
have
Smash
shame
Mouth
either.
album.
Like me and Kristen got together and we spent like 3 hours on YouTube just looking up songs we used to listen to that make us feel like assholes now. Where it was just like, because my guilty shame was the Hawthorne Heights. Fucking thought they were the greatest thing since sliced bread. And now I'm just like, I was 15. What are you gonna do? You know?
No, I did listen to a lot of radio music when I was a kid, which was 90s alternative.
Yep.
I went back recently to get stuff for the cover band, ideas for us, songs for us to do, and listen to a bunch of stuff. I still love every bit
No,
of
that's
it.
the thing, though.
Exactly.
That's the thing. Like
It's
the
all
music,
so good.
The music I listened to wasn't pop radio stuff. It was Fuse. If you remember Fuse, the network, the TV network.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where they had all that shitty underground emo shit when emo was becoming a thing, you know, and I just fucking went right for it.
All the stuff I didn't listen, or all the stuff I listened to that wasn't on the radio was metal.
Yeah.
And I still love every bit of it.
Yeah.
I kept getting into progressively heavier shit.
Yeah. That's the difference between me and you, like with our musical tastes, is that I kind of got out of metal. Like not completely out of it by any means, but it lost its appeal to me as just because it's metal, I'll enjoy it. Because it used to be that way for me. It's like, oh, metal, rad, you know?
I mean, you know, my favorite bands, my top 5, none of them are really super heavy. But they're still metal.
You're being really presumptuous thinking my top 5 favorite bands off the top of your head.
We have discussed this in the past.
And I'm a very forgetful person.
Like Opeth is my favorite band.
Yeah.
They had that same thing where
No, Opeth is like schizophrenic though. Like they'll
Yeah.
release an album that's like insanely heavy, and then their next album is the prettiest thing you've ever heard.
no, even their insanely heavy stuff has a lot of pretty shit in it.
Okay, fair enough.
They have 13-minute long songs that just explore 7 different genres in the same song. But they're in that same boat where not a lot of people like their early stuff, and a lot of people are complaining about the stuff they're releasing now. It's like that golden age from like 2008 to 2010.
Yeah. I think that's like inevitably going to happen with a band that tries to be better and
I
tries to expand
I
their
still
sound.
love everything they've ever done, from the crazy black metal bullshit they started with to the really progressive, no heavy stuff that they're doing
Well, you know,
now.
BT Band falls in that category.
Yeah,
like,
they're
super
incredible
hard.
all the time.
Well, after Alaska, a lot of people fell off the bandwagon because they were like, they're not deathcore anymore. They're not to their roots and shit.
Fuck those people.
But, but I mean, everything. I mean, the fucking. I want to say Colors, but it's totally not Colors. It was before the Great Misdirect. Is it Color? It's Colors.
Yeah, it's Colors.
Sorry, I thought it was a Pink Floyd album for some reason.
No, the Pink Floyd album has Colors on it.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, Colors was like incredible, but a lot of people didn't like it because it was just like too different. And then they come
so
out with a
good.
Great Misdirect, and you're like, what is this acoustic song? But
Where their guitarist sings.
I like his voice.
I do too. He has a little southern twang.
Yeah.
Fucking North Carolina vegan hillbilly.
Which one of these adjectives doesn't belong?
Vegan is the one.
Yeah, that's
Ding, 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 ding.
But they're all vegan except the drummer, and you can tell he's the only one that's buff.
Do you have any do you have any bands that you feel like maintained the same initial energy that really caught you in the first place?
Your answer should be Meshuggah.
I don't even know who that is. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine, but they totally did that.
Let's play a fun game of throw stuff at Brad.
You can't believe you don't know who Meshuggah is.
The only band that I think I don't know if they maintain the same energy, but that have found new ways to impress me has been Coheed and Cambria.
I knew, yeah.
Yeah, you knew it was coming up at some point.
I did, yeah. And I was excited about it. Yeah, because
Yeah.
they're I was just talking to somebody about Coheed the other day, and I told them, I was like, they have gone through 3 stages as a band. Their first 2 albums, their second 2 albums, and now their third 2 albums.
Mm-hmm.
They're radically different each time they do that.
And their second 2 albums, I'm not the biggest fan of. That's
Well, that's what I was
their
about to
hardest
say.
Albums.
Like, if
Yeah.
like I know that you're not the biggest fan of Year of the Black Rainbow, but you're a huge fan of Second Stage and In Keeping Secrets.
Yep.
Which, like, that to me, because I don't think they maintained their energy. I really don't. I feel like they became a different band with Good Apollo. And you'll never, ever get first two album Coheed ever in your entire life again.
Well, I feel like I don't know. I kind of feel like they went back to it a little bit with Ascension or with Afterman, Ascension and Dissension. That's why I love those two albums so much, is because I feel like it kind of went back to that more, I don't know how to explain it, but I guess softer kind of stuff. So
yeah, I don't know. Like, I love Ascension, and like I love them as they are, but I feel like they're radically different.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, they're definitely different.
And I think what it is for me is that the first two albums didn't have the greatest production quality. It was good. It wasn't bad by any means, but it was rough around the edges, and that's a sound that attracts me, is the rough around the edges sound. And then like Good Apollo is a great album, but it's more commercial. It's more radio friendly. But I don't know. I couldn't put them on the list because they've changed way too much.
Sure, I mean,
but I understand if they appeal to you in the same way. That's the thing.
Like I said, I think they've definitely changed, but they find every way they change, they find a new way to like make it okay for me.
Yeah,
Like I'll listen to a song by them, like an album by them, like Dissension, for instance, and I'll hear the music and I'll be like, this is definitely different, but I love it still.
Yeah, there's still like wow factor parts in there.
Exactly. And that's what I was saying before about like, I don't necessarily think it's automatically good for a band to stay the same. Yeah.
Well, I know there's been plenty of examples where I've heard a band like the Killers, and then they release something, and I'm just like, it sounds exactly like the thing. That's like Animals as Leaders. I almost completely wrote off their second album after listening to 5 songs, because I was just like, I get it, And there was another like just guitar player album, and I was just like, I don't really care too much anymore because it all sounds the same to me.
Right.
But
was it Steve Vai?
No, Steve Vai. See, I think that's a really good example that I didn't even come up with, of somebody who has maintained their initial sound from like Flexible to today, because it's just craziness. It's absolute insanity. But he's so diverse, you can't really... I mean, he does so many different things on one album that you can't even say he had an initial energy in the first place.
I can't believe that you're a fan of that prick.
Dude, fucking Steve Vai is incredible. I don't like he's so good at music. I don't even care if he's a dick. James LaBrie, fuck that asshole. He's not that good. He's a dick. That's why I can't listen to Dream Theater. God damn it.
Says the guy who can't do what they do, sitting back criticizing.
Yeah, fuck that band. They release awful music. I could do it better. I could. I'm not going to. It'd be a waste of my time. I'm not proving anything to them. They're awful.
You don't have to be able to do what they do to critique them, though. So,
has Dirty Loops released more than one album?
Dirty Loops they're kind of a different animal, though.
Yeah. Because they got their start doing pop songs, covers.
Yeah.
But they kept the same energy and style throughout all of their covers.
The thing is that those covers are very loosely covers.
They're so good.
It's just, they're really, here's the words,
good,
Yeah. Like, it's literally just the words.
And the melody.
And the melody sometimes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I read an article from their producer, which was a fucking incredible article to read. But he mentioned that, like, they have this thing called loopification, where they will like take a song and then they'll just be like, make it happen, boys, loopify it. And then they do that. They can just do that with any song. And I actually saw they had a show in Atlanta. I actually went and saw it. I'm so jealous of that.
I wanted to. I couldn't make it.
Yeah, I did too.
And it was insane because they're just as good live, which makes no sense.
Well, I can like just watching them play and stuff, like in the videos that they have on YouTube, I can tell that they're not just doing that in the studio.
Yeah.
They're they've been playing together since they were like 7.
Right.
And they've been like going to school, and like to have that kind of dynamic with 2 other people or just 3 people as a whole, to have that kind of experience over that many years, just going to school together, learning music and playing music together.
Yeah.
For that
it's
long.
a lot like Dream Theater.
Yeah, but Dirty Loops isn't absolutely terrible. I'm just kidding. I actually do like Dream Theater.
Dream Theater has 2 good songs.
No, do you know their greatest hits album? It's called Dream Theater's Greatest Hits and 22 Other Songs.
Pull Me Under and Dark Eternal Night. Those are the only 2.
Well, Dark Eternal Night came way later. It's actually called Dream Theater's Greatest Hit and 22 Other Songs because it was Pull Me Under. Dark Eternal Night's pretty fun.
It's so good.
I will say that album, I can't remember the name of it. That album is a good album. They changed their sound a lot. They're a band that has changed. Like, I feel like they're going for the new like pop metal kind of thing.
I do like pop metal. That's what got me into Devin Townsend.
Devin Townsend is so good. So good. Anyway, I think this is actually a really kind of a paralleled conversation to like video game sequels, because we're really just having the same conversation.
Yeah.
Of just like, hey, somebody released a game, and then the second one, like, did it maintain the initial interest? You know?
Oh, real quick, Cannibal Corpse, same sound for 30 years. That's what they've done. I just want to.
They've been producing awful music for 30 years.
They have. They're really fun to see live, though.
Behemoth is also, I can see that. I can see them being fun, because like I don't like Behemoth at all, but seeing them live is a blast.
I saw 3 of their songs, and their light show gave me such a bad headache I had to leave. It didn't matter where I stood in the crowd. The light shone right in my fucking eyes.
They did it on purpose. They singled you out.
It was awful. I saw Cannibal Corpse. I saw Cannibal Corpse's whole set. I don't even like their music, but it was fun to watch the guy just spin his head around really fast.
That's why his neck is like the size of his shoulders.
It's
they just
huge. He doesn't actually have a neck. His shoulders just meld up into the bottom of his head.
Oh, man.
He even had a headbang contest with every fan in the entire arena. And
they all lost.
Yeah, and he called him out on it.
Y'all fucking suck.
He's like, this is a metal show. We need to see more headbanging.
You call that headbanging, maggot?
You guys can try to keep up with me. You're not gonna.
I've been doing this professionally for 30 years.
But I want you to try. So they go into this song, and he's just fucking flailing around, and it's fucking crazy to watch. And he pulls out of it and says, I win.
And 7 people died that night. Oh, man.
I think he had neck surgery or something.
I don't doubt it. That just can't be good for you. That just can't.
But his head was a blur. It looked like you were watching high definition television, and you just couldn't keep up.
With a 60 hertz refresh rate?
Yeah, but it was
in
real.
3D.
It was real life. It was just a blur.
Oh, man. But yeah, like...
Are we going to video games now?
I was about to try to seamlessly do that, but...
Michael stepped all over your transition.
1 second. Everybody, let's tap the microphone 3 times to signal that we're about to change topics.
A tap-a-tap-a-roo. A tap-tap-tap.
Yeah, so
Happy Gilmore in there.
I've been playing through. I got RPG. I paid $40 for the cartridge, and I played it. Or Super Mario RPG. I
got RPG. Wow.
It's RPG. It's actually the first game ever released for like the Atari 400. Have you ever played Adventure for the 2600?
No, I haven't.
It's like the first action or the first adventure game where it's just a pixel on the screen and you're just going through rooms. It's crazy. But yeah, I got Super Mario RPG and I started playing it. And I was just like, this is such a good game. And the thing is, I don't like RPGs at all. So I was kind of skeptical going into it. And then I played it and I was like, this is really rad. And then I was like, once I started messing with the Wii and everything, they had the virtual console for Paper Mario, the original for the N64. And I was like, sweet, I'm going to play this. And I played it and it was a great game. And then after much hassle with my Wii, Zing!
Funny. Still funny. 8 years later, still funny.
Oh, man. But yeah, after that, I got the 1,000-Year Door working. Paper Mario and the 1,000-Year Door. And I feel like that was the game that Paper Mario wanted to be.
Yes.
It is perfect. The characters are so amazing. The layout, the graphics, it's so great. The thing about it is that the graphics for that game don't age because it's just got that distinct art style to it.
It's that kind of like cell shading type of thing where like it just holds up real well.
It does, yeah. So I beat that, and that is like one of the greatest games I've ever played in my entire life. And then I was like, I've heard that Super Paper Mario is technically a sequel to it, but it doesn't maintain the same spiritual... It's not a spiritual successor, it's just a sequel. Yeah. And I picked it up, and I was so excited when I got it working because the opening credits and the way they put you into the game feels exactly like the 1,000-Year Door. Yep. And I was like, this is so rad. The sounds are all the same. Like, the music is the same and stuff.
I was with him for this.
Yeah, Michael witnessed this happen. And I was so excited. He remembers me saying, oh, man, it's just like the fucking text bubbles and the sound they make and all that. And I slowly have become more and more and more disappointed to the point where I'm probably not going to finish the game.
Yep.
because also I am an avid, like, I do not look stuff up online. I'm playing the game to figure it out myself or ask a friend for help.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
But Paper Mario was so disinteresting to me. I got stuck on a part and I just got so fed up. I just looked it up online. And I was like, I don't like this game.
Yeah.
And you know what's really sad is that I think that Super Paper Mario could have been a good game.
Now that's what I was going to say about Paper Mario. See, the thing is, the idea of the game is great.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a very fun game, but they should not have put it where they did.
And they shouldn't have. Yeah, they just shouldn't have given it that title.
No, not at all.
If it wasn't a Paper Mario game, the expectations wouldn't have been a certain way. And it probably would have been fun.
Like, by no means am I saying Super Paper Mario is a bad game.
Right.
It's a disappointing
It's just
game.
not what you wanted.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
like
exactly.
Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
Yeah. Like,
Not what the fans expected at all, but
they were like, oh, a fucking third game in the Banjo-Kazooie series because the first and the second game were very similar to one another.
not a bad game, but it tanked because
But yeah,
it was
it's not Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what happened in the process of that? They made
Oh
like
yeah, Microsoft absorbed Bungie, and it was a bunch of
Rare.
bullshit.
Rare. Yeah.
Rare, sorry.
Which I'm
My
still
bad.
salty about, by the way. Because that means that Conker is just sitting there not doing anything.
Oh
That's true.
man, Conker's Bad Fur Day.
So good.
yeah.
I think that's my favorite game of all time.
It's a great game. It really is.
Man, I love that game.
But yeah, with Banjo-Kazooie, they made there were so many plans for the third game, and they developed it for like everything. They developed it for the GameCube. They started with that and the N64, and they came up with all these cool ideas. Then they built an engine, and then they threw that engine away, and then they went for a racing game, and then they were like, okay, fuck that, but we still have all these parts for this game, and then they built another engine, and it just ended up being 3 different games in one, and it's a terrible game. Not that I've played it.
It's not a terrible game.
I love judging things that I haven't even heard.
It's not a terrible
Right.
game. It's just not what people were expecting. They were expecting another Banjo-Kazooie.
Well, is it similar to Diddy Kong Racing? Which is kind of not really a racing game, but kind of is.
No, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, it's kind of like a racing game, but it's got a big focus on building your vehicle out of parts you find around.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not a Banjo-Kazooie game. So I think this also falls under the category of if it had been presented differently, it probably would have. If it had been presented as like Banjo-Kazooie Racing, like Mario Kart, you know?
if they had just replaced the characters to not be Banjo-Kazooie, it would have been a good game.
Yeah,
well,
there's a
it
lot of
would
things
have been
like that.
it
There's
would
a
have been
lot of things like
successful.
that.
Well, I was about to say, like, in that.
Bringing in those characters that people were attached to,
Yeah.
like it was basically just there for nostalgia, and that pissed people off.
Exactly. And I think that's exactly how I feel about disappointing sequels, Super Mario Brothers 2. It is. I was very disappointed in it.
Yeah,
I like that
Nintendo
game
is
a
actually
lot.
notorious for that, where it's
Yeah.
like they're scared to start new IPs. They'll stick with their old IPs just constantly and no matter what. And then it's like, I would have liked this game had it not been Mario or had it not been,
Yeah.
well,
Super Mario 2 was Doki Doki Panic. It was a
Yeah,
game about
yeah.
like radio hosts in Japan or something, and it was not a bad game by any means. But you can't tell me that's a Mario game.
Yeah.
And like I would have preferred the actual second Mario game, the Lost Levels, as
Lost
everybody
Levels,
knows
yeah.
it here, because I loved the original Mario Brothers because it's a platformer of just like make difficult jumps and you have to learn the level and all that. It's great. And then you get 2 and it's like, this is not at all.
Well, that was also in the stage of games where like Japan was figuring out what we wanted, what was worth it to import to America or export to
They
America.
did well.
So like
there was
Lost
a lot
Levels,
of-
they thought was too hard.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah,
why
and
they
that's
didn't
why
release
they
it here.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they kind of Nintendo of America was just like, we can't give this game to Americans. We
Yeah.
have to do something else.
Oh, they did that with the second Final Fantasy game too. They just dumbed it down.
Oh, what became Mystic Quest or whatever it was?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Like they were like, this is too hard for Americans. We're gonna make this a little easier, and then it just turned out to be a shit game.
Yeah, it was a weird time for gaming. I mean, like I guess they really did have to do that because like it was gaming at that time wasn't as acceptable in America as it was in Japan. Or
Yeah,
as
no,
popular
not at
or
all.
whatever.
I mean, now gaming is just kind of a thing. Like everybody,
yeah,
has it seen or played or whatever.
which is awesome.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
But at that time, it was very niche.
Yeah.
There were only a few people did it. It was very like, oh, you're a nerd if you play
exactly,
games
yeah. And
that sort of
I
thing.
remember seeing all those like news things about just like my kid sitting in front of this Nintendo and the television for hours at a time, and it's like, is Nintendo killing our children?
Yeah,
And it's
the same thing that happens with everything.
exactly like anything that ever happens. But yeah, like Japan Japan has always been way ahead of the game on gaming stuff. Like with the Game Boy Color, when they released Pokemon Crystal, you could attach a cell phone to it, and that's how you got Celebi. Was you would have to like go to an event or something and download it over a mobile network, and that was like what, 99 or something.
Well, it's funny. It's so funny how ahead of the game Nintendo was with that then, but how behind they've been on online gaming and that sort of thing.
I don't want to so much call that behind as much as I think it's a choice of theirs. I think they're doing that on purpose. And I think I saw something when the Wii came out. He mentioned specifically that he didn't want to add that huge. But
the thing is, they did. Like, if they didn't want to add it, that would be one thing. But they did add it. They just added it poorly. And that's what got me was like Brawl had an online mode.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like I played Brawl.
It was real bad. Like the lag was real bad. They was just not. The servers weren't ready. It just wasn't implemented well.
Yeah.
So if you don't want it in your game, great. That's fine. Make it a party, couch multiplayer game. That's great.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Nintendo does best. In fact.
Absolutely.
But why spend dev time and hours on this mode that's
to half-ass it?
Yeah, that you're not going to implement properly.
Final Fantasy 14 did that.
I never played Final Fantasy 14.
It was an MMORPG, and it's widely regarded as the worst ever made. But it was so bad, like they lost.
Oh yeah, they like apologized for it and then remade it. Yeah. I do remember that.
They took all the servers down and completely redesigned it, and now it's actually pretty good.
Wow.
But
it was quite the.
It was awful.
Talking.
That makes 3 strokes.
Final Fantasy sequels generally are shit.
Final Fantasy sequels?
Are they like
absolutely.
like Microsoft? Do they like release a really good game and then release a really shitty one and then release a really good game after that?
Well, it's like Final Fantasy X was a really good game. Mm-hmm. Then they released X-2, which is just shit.
Here's the thing. X-2, the worst story and writing and voice acting and directing I've ever heard. I have fantastic combat. I don't understand.
Yeah, it had good
gameplay. The gameplay was actually good, and that's when that is the game that I learned that good gameplay can't carry a game.
Yeah,
no, it can't.
Like I don't even play Final Fantasy, and I have seen clips from X-2 of just how bad everything was there. Like the voice acting and the little cutscenes and everything. Yeah,
it's terrible. But the combat, I mean, I played probably halfway through it, and the combat, every time I got into battle, I was like, this is actually cool. Like it's a different way of interacting with like the ATB system, and it's fast and it's active, and you're changing jobs mid combat and like all this crazy stuff, and then you get out of combat and everything is terrible.
Now, here's the question: you mentioned that like good gameplay can't hold up a game, but I don't think that's true.
Well, it can't hold an RPG. I'll say that.
Well, yeah, I think it could have held itself up if they didn't force bad things on top of it. Whereas if they had just taken that element out altogether, the terrible voice acting and the cutscenes and all that, and just given you a good game to play, because like I feel like the game mechanic makes a game for me. Like,
it's different for role playing games.
Yeah,
because the story is such a huge part.
Yeah, the story is you're supposed to get immersed into it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And
I'm just saying, like,
it was so bad you couldn't get immersed into it.
Yeah,
and Final Fantasy X, that storyline was so good that they tried to follow up on it and just did such a shitty job. Oh my god.
I guess that's why I don't enjoy RPGs that much. It's because I just like games that revolve around gameplay. Even playing the 1,000-Year Door, as much as I love it, there were points where I was just like, quit fucking talking and let me go do something. Like, I am so tired of sitting here and watching you talk. Even as good as those characters were sometimes.
I think there's a type of game that the fans have called like Metroidvania that I think you would love. It's kind of like, have you played Super Metroid? Mm-hmm. It's that style where it's all about the gameplay and exploration and like all that stuff. And there have been some pretty good games recently that have come out
on Steam and stuff, like with indie developers.
Yeah,
that's the only, like, I haven't gotten Steam and I haven't really planned on it, but the more I see these indie developers making like games in that like same nature that I love, because like you feel like that's lost in time sometimes. Yeah. But now developers are developing those kinds of games again, and it's so exciting. Night in the Woods. Oh my god, that's why I might get a PS4. Night in the Woods. I swear, if they don't release it on somewhere I can play it, I will buy whatever I need to buy. it looks like the best game I've ever seen ever. It's just like you're saying, like the Metroidvania thing, where it's a platformer.
Yeah.
And I love platformers, but the art style is so good, and like the dialogue is short and sweet because they've released little snippets of it, and I've been playing them, and like the characters, they're good characters that don't talk too much.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just like, give me a general sense.
Like Booger Man. He didn't talk at all, hardly.
No, he talked a little bit. Booger! Oh my God, Booger Man. We've been okay. So we got, like I was saying, I got the Wii set up, and I've got all these like just hundreds and hundreds of games on it, and we'll just occasionally flip through them and find one that looks interesting and then play it. It's so much fun, and we end up playing games like Booger Man and
Right.
Rex.
Well, let's get back on topic. Games that had good sequels.
Games that had good sequels or bad sequels or whatever.
Crash Bandicoot, not a good original game, had wonderful sequels.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
And they changed a lot about how it was. Like they didn't. I think that. Well, I guess that's why they're good sequels.
It was
like, well, the first game was all right, but it didn't like.
It was an incredibly
really
weird
work.
format.
Yeah.
It was like, here's a 3D world where you're stuck on a plane.
Yeah.
yeah.
Granted, that was in like
98.
I call that era, the PS1 and 64 era, like gaming's puberty, because like 3D was just coming to its own. Everything was kind of awkward.
It was like, we're gonna create our characters with polygons, but we're gonna make this a platformer.
Yeah.
Earthworm Jim was the same way. The first game was garbage. The sequels
Second
were
game
pretty
is
good.
so good. Earthworm
Yeah.
Jim 2 is fantastic.
The first one, it was fun to look at. It was just impossible to play. There were so many little glitches. Oh my goodness!
I guess if we're talking about games with awesome sequels, Paper Mario, The 1,000-Year Door, probably, in my opinion, the greatest sequel. Because I truly feel, as much as I loved Paper Mario, I truly feel that The 1,000-Year Door is what they wanted it to be.
The
from
greatest
beginning.
sequel of all time is Super Mario Bros. 3.
Yeah, I can give you that.
Yeah. But
Hands
it
down.
doesn't. That's kind of like, you had to skip over 2 to get to 3, though.
Whatever, it's still a
It's
sequel.
still a sequel.
If it's a sequel to Super Mario Brothers 2, then I'll give you it. Like, I'll give you that 100%. But and also Super Mario World.
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean Mario 64 was fantastic too, even though
Yeah.
it was completely different.
I love 64 so much. It was good. I think we sat down and played Super Mario World and beat it in
Oh,
like
yeah.
2 hours.
Yeah, we got all the levels.
Damn,
I think
it
it's
was fun.
96. It's so much. I can sit down and play that game right now and just love it as much as I did when I was a kid. I mean, it's such a good game. I
You
don't
know
what it
you know
is.
what I did recently, and by recently I mean like 2-3 years ago. That's interesting about Mario World. If you walk through that game instead of running everywhere, everything like kind of lines up for you. Enemies move out of your way. Platforms come to you
Just
as soon as
taking
you get there.
a walking pace the entire
Yeah,
time.
because it's like not really set up for you to do that because they assume you're gonna run.
Yeah.
So like when you walk, like things just are kind of, the timing is so off that you just kind of walk through the levels.
It's like when I was playing through it with Elena and she didn't know how to run.
That is one of my favorite things to do to people. Like if I'm like, because me and a lot of my students will play video games together, and I'll sit them down in front of the original Super Mario Brothers and just watch them, and none of them know B. Hold down
Yeah.
B. To me, it's instinctual. Like the moment I'm playing a platformer,
Yeah,
my thumb
you
is
find the
holding
run
down
button.
one
Yeah.
button.
Oh man, me too. You know
Even if
how
it-
you
yeah.
know how I play those games. I'm so fucking aggressive.
Michael's
with
like
them.
point A to point B. I don't care how I get there. But the thing is, like, even if there's no running dynamic, I still hold a button down.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But oh shit, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Michael was talking about that, about how you were saying you wondered if they programmed games like Super Mario World to where there's one route you can take to where you can just run through the whole level.
I've seen
without having
speed
to.
runs done, and it's crazy how efficient those people are.
Yeah, they
Speedrunning
make
is so
like
fun to watch.
It's a blast. Yeah, there was I just watched one. I can't remember what it was, but it was mind-boggling. I think it was Castlevania.
Yeah,
or something.
like that. The guy I watched was just like hauling ass, like hopping off enemies onto other ones. They just lined up perfect for him every time.
Yeah,
My favorite speedrun to watch is Mario 64.
yeah, because there's so many glitches you exploit.
Not only the glitches, but just watching how they, because there's the jumping and the platforming in that game is so fleshed out that the moves and the side hops and all that stuff that they pull off, they get through these levels in such interesting ways.
Yeah.
That it's not really glitching through. It's just kind of using their tools that they have. You know, it's really interesting to watch a speedrun of that game.
You know that Sonic was based on the original Mario game because there was a guy who played it, and then he would just hold down the button and run through the level as fast as he can. And he was like, I want to make a game where you just fucking, that's the goal of the game. And that's my like love-hate relationship.
Did he
with
make
games.
Temple Runner?
That's my love-hate relationship with games like Sonic. And we've played a few more of them recently, where I get that the point is to get from point A to point B very quickly, but I want to find everything in the level. Like, what was that one 7-Up game we were playing? Cool Spot?
Cool
Cool
Spot.
Spot, yeah.
Yeah, and I was
Man,
like,
that is such a bad game.
Oh, and that's another thing I don't like about Awesome Possum is a game like that, where like I want to spend my time going through the trees because there's trees and you can just go on all these fucking levels that are enormous, but it gets grating, and you really what you're supposed to do is just go here to the end.
Busby was the same way. You were supposed to just haul ass through the levels.
Exactly, yeah. But I
God
want to
damn,
get
I
all
love
the
that game.
T-shirts and all the fucking yarn balls, man.
You can't get them all. There's a fucking time limit.
You want to talk
Yeah.
about great sequels followed by terrible sequels? Just look at the Sonic series. Sonic 1 was
I
okay. Sonic 2 and 3 were both so good.
Okay, I was about to say, I hope that ends the
Then,
way.
yeah, Sonic 2 and 3 were both so good. And Sonic and Knuckles was good too.
Yeah.
But the second we moved to past the Sega generation,
I don't think they knew what to do.
God.
I think that the worst sequel of all time is Busby 3D.
Have you played Sonic 06?
No, you haven't played Bubsy 3D because I was about to bring up Sonic 06.
Okay.
And then this motherfucker dropped Bubsy 3D. Yeah, that's Michael wins. Let's give him a point here.
That is really terrible. We can play it after this if you want. It's
I
so bad.
was so excited to find that. When I found Bubsy 3D, it's for the PS1.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, a good example of games that went from a 16-bit platform to 3D 32-bit platforms and they just didn't know. Bubsy 3D is like, hey, we started developing this game for 2 weeks, and then they just released it. It is the worst. You know Superman 64?
Yeah.
Worse than that. It's like Superman 64 without any textures. It's
man.
it's so bad. And there, by the way, I want to mention I love this so much, and I want to share it with the world. Bubsy3D.com. If you go there, somebody has made I don't even know what to call it. It's not ironic. It's not funny. It's just this game where you're Bubsy in a 3D world, and it's the most surreal experience you will ever have in your entire life. And
More
play
surreal than
it.
LSD?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Fucking play it. Play Bubsy 3. Go to Bubsy3D.com and play through that game. It is a blast. So much fun. You'll be asking, you have no idea what's going on the entire time.
They
But
make
it's so
it
much
just
fun.
because Bubsy 3D was so bad?
Yeah,
were
they
like,
did. Yeah.
nice.
I mean, and you do play as Bubsy in a really shitty looking, terrible world. But it's just a great game. And there's like cheats. One thing that game did that is so cool. It's a web-based game, right? So you can type in a password. And this is so neat. I think the guys who programmed it are geniuses because as you're typing in the password on your keyboard, like you'll press A and the A will turn green. And then you press B and then it'll turn red and go away. So then you can press AA and it stays green. So you know there's no passwords that start with AB, but there are passwords that start with AA.
Oh, yeah.
And if you sink enough time into this like I did, you can find all of the passwords by going AA, AAA, AAAB.
That's called brute forcing.
It is called brute forcing, and I did it for 4 hours. And there are so there's one password to this game that I feel accomplished about because the password is ASDF semicolon LKJ repeated 40 times. So you sit there and you go ASDF and it's a motion and you keep making the motion and then it goes ding and then it brings you to a website that is what you just typed in .com and it's just a gif of people from the 1950s clapping. And I was sitting there, this was like 3 hours into it, I'm sitting there like and I literally did this. I was like, yes, I did something. And then I did more research on this and there was a Twitter of these passwords for Bubsy3D.com, and nobody had found it at that point.
Wow.
And I was like, I win.
Win the internet. like when I was little, I played. There was a game for the NES called Bucky O'Hare. It was based off a show.
I love Bucky.
Yeah,
Captain Bucky O'Hare.
Fantastic. And the game was really fucking hard, by the way. At least for like 6-year-old me or however old I was.
It's NES games. They're always going to be hard.
But I remember going to the password screen. I would get a password for a level, and I went to the password screen, and on complete accident, instead of the last character of the password, I entered in there was like a bunny symbol that was part of it, and it took me further than the password would have taken me.
Yeah.
Like it took me like 2 levels further, and 6-year-old me didn't care about cheating or anything like that. So I was like, I wonder if this works all the time. And sure enough, it did. Every password, if you put with that bunny symbol at the end, it took you like further. I don't know what in the coding caused it to do that.
That's so rad.
Yeah. So I ended up beating that game, but not playing half of it.
I can't stand games that give you like 16-digit passwords.
Yeah.
That are always random as fuck. It's always just like 0492B uppercase WYZ.
You're like the Mega Man X password screen, which is an entire screen of characters.
Characters, yeah.
Like, what
I'd started doing, because I've been playing it recently, I pulled out my phone and just took pictures of it. I was like, fuck this, I don't even know what to do. I've got, there's a game called World Court Tennis for the TurboGrafx that apparently I played a lot as a kid. And I have the copy that I had as a kid, and there's on the password sheet I wrote down a bunch of stuff, but those passwords are so long and complex and strange, I can't get any of them to work because my handwriting when I was like 6 years old is just all over them, and they have so many symbols in there, and I tried to emulate the symbol with my little scratch thing. I'd love to play that game as it is a tennis RPG. For a 16-bit platform.
Oh boy!
Wow!
And it has an overhead view like Zelda.
That doesn't sound like it could be good, but
no,
I'd be willing to.
it's not, but it's incredibly nostalgic for me.
That's fair.
And like you go in, and like the dialogue is amazing. You just walk into a house, and you're just like in somebody's house, and you're like, "Hey, dude," and he's like, "This is Chicago," and then you just walk out. It's great. The dialogue's so bad.
It's also games that tend to have good sequels. The Zelda series.
Yeah. But you had that on your list, didn't you?
The Zelda series?
Yeah.
I did.
Nice.
They have a couple of really, really phenomenal sequels.
Yeah, Link to the Past. If you're looking for like a sequel to the first game, the second game, it's hard to call a sequel to that because they're not the same at all.
Yeah.
The second game is like this, platformer kind of weird thing, and it's
Was that Link's
so
Awakening?
hard. Yeah, no. Link's Awakening was the Game Boy game.
Well,
Link's Adventure.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
well, Ocarina of Time holds up today. That's still a good game.
I know a lot of people
I'm about to get murdered by a lot of people, but I don't think the Ocarina of Time is that great.
Is Joey going to kill you?
I think that at the time it was revolutionary and it was extremely important. Mm-hmm. But when I go back and play it now and I walk out in a Hyrule Field and see like the one tree and Longmont Ranch, I go, I kind of want to just load up Majora's Mask.
Well, like
Majora's Mask is the other really good sequel.
Majora's Mask is fucking awesome.
Yeah. I think, Michael, you mentioned something earlier about how newer graphics have spoiled you.
They have. I can still go back and play 64 games.
Yeah.
Nintendo 64 games. But if
I know, isn't Final Fantasy VII a really good example
Yes.
of how...
Oh, boy, yes.
Because I can go back and play Final Fantasy VIII. I can't go back and play Final Fantasy VII.
Because when you're just walking around, you're just a little blonde triangle.
No mouth, no fingers, no...
It's really bad. The graphics are... but that game is... I love it so much, I can look past that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's because I don't play 3D games very often at all.
But I mean, you get the stuff that's coming out now, like the Assassin's Creed games and stuff
just
like that.
Hyper-realism.
It's so gorgeous all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we're breaching the uncanny valley now.
Yeah,
It's which I thought we breached when I was like 10 and I got an IGN magazine and I saw Hitman.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't tell if this person is real or not.
Yeah, I feel like that's said a lot though. Like every new generation of graphics comes out, people are like, "Oh my god, this is real life."
Yeah.
You know, how could it get better than this? And then the next generation comes out and they're like, "I was wrong."
When I was 9 years old in 1998, my cousins put a new graphics card in their computer and booted up Carmageddon, which, I'm going to be completely honest, is my favorite PC game ever made. But they loaded it up and they're like, "Oh my god, this looks so real. This is awesome. The blood splatters go so much further and everything. It's great." but I look at it now on my modern machine, and it's just awful.
I felt the same way about Mortal Kombat.
I mean,
where I was like,
Jesus.
oh my god, it's like real people. Like that was one of the first times they had done the or they take a picture of somebody and they actually live capture them and then insert it over a sprite or something. And you're like, whoa. And then it just gets ridiculous. Yeah. Which that is something that can go either really well or really poorly.
Yeah.
Let's get back to sequels. Assassin's Creed. We were just talking about that.
Michael is staying on point right now.
I love it.
Look at this motherfucker.
Assassin's Creed has some really good sequels.
Assassin's Creed 2 is an amazing sequel.
It's really good. And then the entire Brotherhood series.
Yep.
Phenomenal.
Assassin's Creed, the Brotherhood was really good. 3, I feel like it started falling off.
But yeah, then they made that one in New Orleans, I think. I've heard that one's not good at all.
Oh, is that the latest one, Unity?
I don't know. You play some black chick.
Nope, that's not the latest one.
But then they come out with Black Flag. That one.
Yeah, Black Flag
people
was pretty.
Said that was pretty.
It was pretty good. It didn't. I don't know.
I don't think that the first game was really that good.
Yeah, I agree. It was repetitive.
It was so monotonous. I mean, I beat it. Don't get me wrong.
Well, the story was good. The story was compelling, I thought. But
you just had to spend so much time like, oh, gotta climb this building. I gotta save this asshole. I gotta climb this other building.
Yeah, let me pickpocket that guy and then pickpocket 14 other guys and then to get information to do what I did before.
Every mission was the same, and to get to the missions, you had to do a bunch of repetitive stuff. But once it got to where you actually killed the guy and you got the storyline, phenomenal story. Mm-hmm. Oh my god, it was good.
Yeah.
But they fixed that.
Well, I've heard that a lot about the original Assassin's Creed. Mm-hmm. Like when it came out, everybody was like, it's great, but...
Now, it did get really good, like right at the end. Oh boy. It didn't keep to everything else. Right at the end, it got fucking nuts.
Yeah, there were some fights and you were like, shit's going down right now. Like there are whole mechanics that are only included in the final.
Yeah. I think
parts.
One game that had a wicked good sequel was Pokemon. I think the second generation was like...
Pokemon Gold is really good, isn't it? I haven't played any Pokemon games, but I've heard Pokemon Gold is a really, really good sequel.
Well, like, Blue was great, and Red was... the first generation was pretty fantastic. But then, like, when they released Gold, it was like every issue you had with Blue was fixed in Gold.
See, I didn't feel that way
really
about it. I thought that... I liked Gold and Silver, but I didn't think that it was... I liked it because it was the same as Blue, Red and Blue.
Well, I mean, like, one little example is being able to hit select. Like, add an item to your select menu instead of having to go and navigate for the bicycle, which is something that irritated the shit out of me. But then in Gold, you can just hit select and stuff like that. And I feel like
there were like quality of life improvements, but there was no like real and I still don't think there's any real like.
No, I'm not saying there weren't any huge drastic changes but there were little things that they improved in the original game while keeping the same feel. Like you said, it didn't really change, but it made it a better experience to play through.
That's fair because another game that's like that, and I consider this to be one of the better sequels out there, is the Arkham series. Mm-hmm. Arkham Asylum was a great game and it was fun, but Arkham City just took it up 3 notches and said this is what
everybody on the internet agrees with you.
Yeah, and there's a reason. Arkham City is fantastic, and I actually enjoyed Arkham Origins, but I think that what really set Arkham City apart from the rest was the story was so good. Mm-hmm. And Arkham Asylum had a fine story, but it was you could tell it was kind of thrown together. But then Arkham City was like really in depth, and the voice acting was so good, and like it really immersed you into Arkham City.
Now, I've got some bad ones for you.
Rocket Knight Adventure.
That was bad. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Rocket Knight Adventure, phenomenal game. I loved it.
Let me rephrase that. Disappointing. Sparkster is a great game. Very disappointing because the first Rocket Knight Adventure I truly feel is the best 16-bit game ever made. I will stand by that 100%.
All right.
Now this isn't just for fun. It's not just it's great. I mean, like storyline, like the progression of difficulty, the graphics, everything about it. I think it's the greatest 16-bit
really
game.
Fair enough. It just has really high competition in 16-bit.
It does have a lot of competition. And you know what? I've only played maybe 5% of every 16-bit game released, but I truly feel like it's the greatest 16-bit game. And Sparkster is not a bad game, but when you go from playing that incredible, immersive fucking Rocket Knight Adventure to go to that, it's kind of frustrating.
No. Bad sequels. Duke Nukem Forever.
You want to talk about disappointment? It's like 10 years of disappointment.
14 years.
Yeah, and the really sad part is everyone knew it was going to be disappointing. Like, I don't think anybody really expected that this was going to live up to 14 years of hype.
It's just Chinese democracy in game form.
Even if it had only been a couple years, it would not have stood up.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was. Well, part of it too was that it tried so hard to keep that same humor and stuff like that, but it was outdated.
Somehow, the sequel was less mature than the original.
Which is saying something. Yeah, I agree. That game was very disappointing.
Dragon Age 2.
I wouldn't. I mean, it's not as good as the original, but
Lord, no, it's not.
I actually didn't mind Dragon Age 2 that much.
I haven't played Inquisition yet.
Inquisition is good.
I've heard it's really good.
Yeah, Inquisition is good. But Dragon Age 2, yeah, I agree. Is definitely a bad sequel, but I still kind of enjoyed it.
Resident Evil 6.
Granted, I have a real hard on for BioWare, so that could be. I didn't play Resident Evil 6.
I haven't either.
I didn't play. Oh, I played like the first part of Resident Evil 5, and that was disappointing.
Resident Evil has some really good stuff.
Because Resident Evil 4 was incredible.
But in my research, Resident Evil 6 is widely regarded as one of the worst sequels of all time. But nobody here has played it. I thought you may have.
Yeah, sorry. I well, after Resident Evil 5, I kind of was done.
Halo has good sequels.
Yeah, well, Halo.
I think they up their game every single time.
I never played Halo 4, but Halo 2 was markedly better than Halo 1, and Halo 3 was way better than that.
Halo Reach was better than that.
I didn't play Halo Reach I'm not all that into Xbox, so I didn't really.
Halo Reach was really good. Like although I never played the storyline in any of them. It was always multiplayer. That's all you play Halo for,
yeah,
right?
as expected.
Yeah.
Multiplayer.
That's the only reason I
So
play
the
it.
original Halo, me and my friends would like set up LAN parties, so nobody could screen peek.
Dude, I saw the greatest picture recently of
Under
like
the
two
blanket.
kids. And they had taped a blanket like in the middle of a TV screen, and one of them was under the blanket, and the other one was on a bed. It was so great.
Now, that's not quite as good as like when I had LAN parties with Zach and Leonard
Two
playing
different
Warcraft
TVs
3.
in different rooms.
No, just different computers.
Oh yeah. Well, I know when I was when I
Playing
was
Warcraft 3. Oh my god, I got them so good because they couldn't see what I was doing.
I know when
They thought they'd killed me. I had a second base. So then they launch an all-out attack, and I just come in and sweep up the remains.
Oh god, do you ever like? I remember thinking I was like so good at StarCraft or whatever when I was playing. Do you ever like watch like competitive esports and stuff now?
I try
and
I
you're
can't
just
follow.
you're just like I was terrible.
Their keystrokes are so fast, I can't keep up.
I remember when the original Xbox came out in Halo, my friend Hayden got it, and we just ran cable. We had two different TVs in different rooms, and that was so much fun.
That was kind of the age of the LAN party because it was
Yeah.
before like Xbox Live had really come into its own. Because like Halo 1 didn't even have online multiplayer.
No,
I
it
don't
didn't.
think. So like LANing was real big during
Yeah.
that era.
Let's see what else.
So I think. Oh, go on.
Super Smash Brothers. That has some good sequels.
Melee is probably one of the best sequels that
I keep hearing that about. I've never played Melee, but and I fucking got it. I need to play it, but I haven't played it because I switched. I went from the original to Brawl.
Okay.
But yeah, I have seen people play Melee, and it looks really good.
What else did I have here? Kingdom Hearts. That sequel was pretty good.
Kingdom Hearts is such a good series that I feel like to say it's a good sequel is kind of not saying enough about the original. Like, I think that the sequel kept up what the original had started.
Oh, the original is one of my favorite games of all time. I had a hard time getting into the second one because it was not the same characters.
It is if you get far enough.
I mean, I beat the game.
Okay.
But
that first section of Kingdom Hearts 2 is brutal.
It was really hard to get into because I just finished the first one and went right into the second one.
Yeah, that first section, the Roxas section of Kingdom Hearts 2 is just brutal to get through.
It was not fun. It took a long time for me to get into it, but once I did, it was a really great game.
Yeah, once you get past that part and you go into the Disney worlds, then it starts getting really fun again. Going back to the Zelda series, one of the things I thought was a really bad sequel was Skyward Sword, which is their latest.
Tell me about how you hate Skyward Sword.
I got to talk about it. I can't not.
Get it off your chest, man.
Well, you're talking to two people who have never really played Zelda.
That's fair. Okay.
No, I'm just saying I've heard a lot about how terrible it is, but I value your opinion.
Yeah, so that's the thing that really I think got me the most is that I played through it and I played through the whole fucking thing.
1 second, I'm sorry to interrupt you. The only reason I value your opinion is because you're the greatest human being that has ever existed.
Brad motherfucking Donaldson.
The pressure is real. No, but I played through the whole fucking thing because after the first temple, I was like, this game is terrible. I don't say that about Zelda games often.
Yeah.
Because every Zelda game kind of goes through the cycle where the fans hate the game that's out until the next game comes out.
Yeah.
Like since I think everybody loved Ocarina of Time, but since then that's been true. Mm-hmm. But this is not like that. This is different. Like I hated it after the first temple, but I said I'm going to finish it because I don't want anyone to be able to come up to me and say, "Dude, you didn't get to the good part."
Yeah.
You know, I hate that.
Yeah.
So I finished the thing, and it never got to the good part. It was all bad.
I don't like when people do that to me.
Oh my god.
So like I told Paul, I don't like the show Home Movies.
I was like, you should watch it. It's really great.
And he was like, how much of it have you seen? And I said, I don't know, 3 or 4 episodes. He was like, you haven't really watched enough to get a grasp on it. So I watched all 4 seasons. I binge watched all 4 seasons and came back to it and I was like, I still don't like it.
And I was like, what the fuck? You could have quit after the first season.
And sometimes that's true though, because I heard that about Parks and Recreation. I gave that show the 4-episode test and said I'm not really into this, and then everyone was like, "Dude, you have to get through the first season. After that, it gets amazing."
It's incredible.
And when it did, it lived up to that.
I fell in love with that show on the first episode.
Oh, really?
I kind of did too. 30 Rock was like that for me.
Yeah.
In which I finished it. I love it. I think it's a great show.
30 Rock, it's too dense for me.
Oh, we've had this conversation. I love dense shows.
No,
and they've spoiled me.
like,
I can't enjoy normal shows anymore.
I do like 30 Rock. I just can't watch a lot of it at once. I can't binge watch it like you did because every single line is comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good.
Every little movement is comedy.
Yeah, and they're either like making a joke or setting up a bit. Those are the only 2 things that happen in that show.
And they're making jokes while they set up the bit.
Yeah.
And the characters are so good. Have you guys ever watched Comedy Bang Bang?
No.
Watch it. It's
We're
so
not
good.
here to talk about TV shows, Paul.
We're here to talk about whatever the fuck we want to talk about. I'm just saying, it's on Netflix. I just started it. It's so good.
I've actually heard that it's really good. I just haven't.
Yeah, it's really hilarious. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. Anyway, we have.
Back to how Skyward Sword is complete trash.
Back to how I burned 7 copies of it. I was gonna say I've only heard 2 people defend Skyward Sword, and they were both 11-year-olds. So
that's fair.
11-year-olds don't have enough life experience.
Well, these 11-year-olds, their entire life experience has been playing video games.
Doesn't matter.
So. Well, you also apparently didn't read the
have,
reviews for Skyward Sword.
They don't have the
they
perspective.
were glowing.
Really?
Like I have never. If you ever want to, you should go read the IGN review for Skyward Sword because it's probably better than any blowjob I've seen in play.
Oh my god.
It sings this game's praises. It's like, this is the greatest thing they've ever done. It's, better than Ocarina of Time. It's better than anything they've ever done.
Yeah.
And I was like, how? Like, the gameplay, even when it works, it's not great. It's repetitive. And a lot of times it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And like swimming, I could never swim. I could never do swimming in that game because Link would just swim to the right. No matter what I did with the controller, Link is swimming to the right, and I don't understand. And so,
well, do you feel like the motion controls took away from
that's exactly it.
Now, how integrated were those?
Extremely. Every sword swipe was motion control.
Oh my god.
And so not only even when that worked, Link looked ridiculous because he was holding his sword out at odd angles.
So it actually mimicked where
Yes.
you. Oh my god! It wasn't just a motion to do that because there's a little bit of that going on in Super Mario Galaxy, and I loved it.
Yeah, no, and that's fine, but it was supposed to be like 1-to-1 with the sword.
Oh my god!
Yeah, so he had his arm out at weird angles, and what you had to do is enemies would block in 2 directions, so you have to swipe in a certain direction.
Yeah.
And what you would do to get it to work is you would hold the stick and you would circle him around to whatever direction you needed to swipe. So he would move his arm in the semicircle semicircle and then swipe, and then a semicircle and then swipe, and it was ridiculous.
Oh my god!
And
I can see how that would ruin a game. Bad
Yeah.
controls will ruin a game in a quick minute.
And that was every enemy pretty much had some sort of mini game like that because they were super proud of this motion control thing.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and then not only that, but there were 3 areas. That's it. You went over them multiple times each. And
Yeah.
It was just there was so much wrong with that game, and I could do a whole thing about that game.
We'll do that. We'll do Brad Says. Brad Says segment. Brad Says this sucks. Here's why.
And like I said, I played that fucker to the end, and it never got better.
That's where I'm at with Super Paper Mario. I don't want to finish it, but I probably will.
Yeah.
I'm just like, ugh, I hate it so much. We are getting late. It is late. We're running
sure.
but we have 2 things. And one of them is, what's your favorite Mario game? Make it quick.
Mario RPG.
Nice.
Mario RPG. Well, yeah, Mario RPG.
Oh, I guess we're all in agreement. Fuck you, Thousand Year Door. I think it's better. And
that's fair.
I might say Super Mario World. I might say that's my favorite game. It's
I have
a toss-up.
I have a nostalgia hard on for Geno, so
Faggot. He was my least favorite character.
except he could one-shot everything, and it was amazing.
The weird part is I didn't even have him in my team when I played RPG.
No man.
Mallow was my dude.
Well, towards the end,
Mallow and Bowser.
I don't know. Towards the end, I kind of went the really cheesy, put the lazy shell on Peach, and she just heals everybody and can't die.
Oh man.
I never used Peach. I got so jaded with Final Fantasy VII about the princess healer dying halfway through the game.
You've been hurt.
I'm not going to go through it again, man.
I won't let it happen.
Final Fantasy just has a thing for that. In Final Fantasy IX, her mom dies and she can't cast spells for half the game.
Yeah, it's the worst. It's terrible.
So what album have you guys been listening to most this year?
Brad?
You go ahead.
Brad doesn't listen to music.
Corinzin by Akrakaki.
What do you like about it?
It's so evil.
Has Akrakaki so evil? They're just summoning Satan themselves. Has Akrakaki maintained their sound throughout their career?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty rad, because I've heard some stuff by them, and it's rad. I dig it.
That's crazy, because I've shown you all the stuff you've heard by them, and you laugh at me.
I do laugh at you because it's the same thing with Fintroll, who just came on when I was vacuuming earlier.
I love Fintroll.
And I was like, man, this is pretty rad. I dig it. And it's funny. I find it hilarious because it's almost cartoonish the way they write their fucking songs.
Yeah, Akrakaki has, from the beginning, been very satanic.
Mm-hmm.
They've been progressive black and death metal from the start. They have a few songs that get a little more progressive. They have a song that starts in 7. That was my
Your alarm clock for
a long
3
time.
years. Yeah.
There was nothing greater than getting woke up after 4 hours of sleep to go
Mine
to work
was,
at 5 a.m. by satanic death metal.
Yeah, mine was always Phoneborn B by BT Bam. Every time I hear that song, my brain just switches. Whoa. I have things to do.
I'm not going to do them.
But that was a weird 5 seconds, right? For me, it's been Narrow Stairs by Death Cab for Cutie, because that was the album where I remember when it came out and I just didn't listen to it. And I should have been.
I've only really heard Plans by them.
Plans! That was the third album I was trying to
album.
remember. Yeah, Plans is great. Narrow Stairs was the sequel to that. Narrow Stairs was the next one. And it really... I didn't realize how much of the same energy it maintained. So, Plans is so good.
I actually really like Plans. So
It's good. It's a great album. It's a really... And honestly, I think Ben Gibbard is like a great songwriter.
Yeah.
Like in
lyrically at least. And
Yeah.
musically is pretty good too.
There's the song that made me like really lock into Narrow Stairs is a song called of course now I won't remember it. It's a song about a star. Oh, it's fuck. Whatever. What's your favorite album?
I haven't really been listening to specific
Brad's
albums
a
this year.
faggot that doesn't listen to music anymore.
That's moderately accurate.
No, I feel there was like for the last 2 years I haven't really listened to much music until recently.
I've just been listening to the radio lately. I don't know why. but-
podcasts. That's why I quit listening to music.
For me, it's audiobooks. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But I talking a band that hasn't maintained its sound that's on the radio right now is Maroon 5.
I haven't heard anything from them since like early 2000s.
Don't
You
do
know
it.
who's on the radio and has maintained their sound? Lady Gaga, and I love it.
Yeah, well, she's not much on the radio anymore, unfortunately.
It's a crying shame then. I don't listen to the radio, but I love Lady Gaga.
I can give you some Lady Gaga. A lot of her songs have really interesting aspects to them. I don't know. I can get into Lady Gaga. I can give you that. I didn't really care for like Just Dance, but
You
I actually
dance.
liked Paparazzi, which is real weird. But
Yeah, it's a good ass song.
I
But,
can't
like,
say much about her.
I can go from Akrikaki that sings about like fucking an angel in the mouth to Poker Face in a Heartbeat. I love it. I love it so much.
You have a weird taste, buddy.
You do too.
I do. I just like I don't see. I'm that kind of guy that doesn't understand why everybody doesn't love Modest Mouse. It just doesn't. It makes no
They're
sense.
such
to me
a
whatsoever.
bad band. They make shit music. That's why nobody likes them.
fuck you, Float On's a great song.
They have that one song. It's the one that everybody knows and likes. You've seen this in person at one of their concerts.
Everybody sings along to Float On.
Everybody's
the
like,
worst.
"Oh, what's all this music they're playing? They need to just play that thing that I heard on the radio."
We
that
had this conversation about worst concert experiences, and I've already ranted about how terrible that was.
Yeah, I think that may have even been worse than when the guy got his chain
His
wallet
chain
stuck in your
my
hair.
Fucking idiot was crowd surfing, and he had a chain wallet, and it got caught in my hair, and he lost it. It was in my. I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And I had to rip it out of my hair.
Oh my god.
And I gave it to the bar, and Michael told me, I asked him, I was like, should I take the money out? I'm not taking the money out of this. And I gave it to the bar, and then Michael was like, they're just going to take the money out of that, right? And I was like, fuck, I should have taken the money out of it. Anyway, I'm just going to end on that note. Thank you for listening. We'll do other stuff later.
Guitarcadia.
Is that what it's called? I don't
No,
know.
it's called Guitarcade.
That's what I thought.
Oh boy.
Knights of Guitarcadia.
That's Guitarcadia. Joan of Arcadia. Guitarcadia.
Joan of Guitarcadia.
Just can't do it right.
Damn it, Paul.
I've literally been having a fourth of a stroke this entire conversation.
You can't do anything right.
I can't. Other than fuck up.
Guitarcadia.
Oh, I have a bitchin' theme song for it too.
Oh yeah.
It's all like beep beep beep.
Is it?
Don't.
Is it 8-bit?
Oh, I thought you were about to just chuckle.
I was gonna make it rain with your business cards. You don't even need business cards.